Hey guys, Welsknight here, and welcome back to Magic the Gathering Arena. Hope you guys are having an awesome day. I'm having a fantastic day. Today we're taking a look at a mono-red aggro standard deck. Mono-red aggro is kind of an archetype that's been around forever, and it's been a staple of essentially every format for decades in Magic. And there was a really good mono-red aggro deck before rotation happened in September, but since then it's really kind of fallen off. It's just not a very played archetype currently, and it's kind of because it doesn't really have a lot of the tools that some of the other aggro decks like mono white and mono green have. But I've put together this list, and I've been pretty happy with it so far. It's certainly not like a tier 1 deck, but I definitely wouldn't classify it as jank either. It's been doing pretty well for me. So let's take a look at the deck. First of all, at the 1-drop slot, we've got a few things. We have 4 copies of Falkenrath Pit Fighter. It is a 2/1 vampire warrior that you can pay 1 in a red, discard a card, and sacrifice a vampire to draw 2 cards, and you can only activate that if an opponent lost life this turn. So basically it's a 2/1 pretty aggressive creature that you can play on turn 1, and then you can sacrifice it later to draw more stuff, later in the game. So it remains relevant. We also have 2 copies of Voldaren Stinger. This is a 1-mana 1/1 that has first strike as long as it's attacking. It's another vampire warrior, and you can pay 3 to give it +2/+0. And since it has first strike, it can attack as a 3/1, or if you have a lot of mana, even a 5/1 first strike. The other option here was something Pup, Fearless Pup, I think, is what it's called. Here we go, Fearless Pup, which is pretty much the same. The only real difference is that you have to boast, so you can only make Fearless Pup into a 3/1. You can't make it bigger. The upside is it always has first strike, but I ultimately decided to go with the Voldaren Stinger because it is a vampire, which means it can be sacrificed to Falkenrath Pit Fighter's ability to draw cards if needed. Then we also have, we'll do all the instants and sorceries in a minute. But moving up to the 2-drop slot, we have 4 copies of Bloodthirsty Adversary. This is a 2/2 vampire with haste, and when it enters the battlefield, you can pay 2 in a red any number of times, and then you get to put that many +1/+1 counters on it, and then exile up to that many instant and sorcery cards with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard, and basically cast a copy of them for free. So if you pay, say, 3 mana, you get to copy 1 instant or sorcery. If you pay 6 mana, you get to copy 2, so on and so forth. The big thing is it's a 2/2 haste that in the late game can get you back a burn spell of some sort, which I think is really good. Then we have 2 copies of Dragonkin Berserker. It is a 2-mana 2/2 with first strike. You can boast for cheaper for each dragon you control, and most importantly, in the late game, you can pay 4 and a red to create a 5/5 red dragon creature token with flying with its boast ability. So it attacks, you boast, you pop out a 5/5, and you can basically do that at every turn as long as Dragonkin Berserker is still alive. But that can really help you close out games. And it is a first strike, which means in the early game, it can be kind of annoying to block. Then we also have 4 copies of Flame Channeler, and this is honestly probably the card in the deck that I am least sure on. It's a 2-mana 2/2 that whenever you cast a spell that deals damage, and we have lots of those in the deck, you transform it into a 3/3. And then, once it's transformed into Embodiment of Flame, the 3/3 side, whenever a spell you control deals damage, you put a flame counter on it, and you can pay 1 mana, remove a flame counter, and then exile the top card of your library and play that card this turn. So it gives you kind of a pseudo card draw effect, and it is a 2/2 that turns into a 3/3. But looking at the 2-drop slot for red, there are just not that many good options currently in Standard. And I think this is really kind of why mono red is not a ridiculously good archetype. If we look at the 2-drop slot, you've got Battlecry Goblin, which is great if you're playing goblins, but there's not really a lot of other good goblins to go with it. You've got Hobgoblin Captain, which attacks as a 3/1 first strike if you have other creatures. Again, not that great. You've got Dragonkin Berserker and Bloodthirsty Adversary, which are both very good, but they're already in the deck. Magda, I guess, is an option, but again, that's a 2-1 that just kind of dies. So there's just not that many good, aggressive 2-drops, and that's really kind of the biggest problem with Mono Red right now. But Flame Channeler is perfectly reasonable. It does give you pseudo card draw. It takes a little bit of work to get things going, but we do have plenty of damage dealing spells in our decks, so not that big of a deal. Moving up to 3-drops, we have Reckless Stormseeker, 4 copies. This is an awesome card. It is a 2/3 werewolf that at the beginning of combat on your turn, you give a creature +1/+0 and haste. So basically, it's a 3/3 haste for 3, because it can target itself. And then, if it flips to Night, it becomes a 3/4, and instead of giving +1/+0 and haste, it gives a creature +2/+0 and haste and trample. So it's essentially a 3/3 haste that can turn into a 5/4 trample haste. And it's just really solid. It's just a very good card. You can also use it to haste other things if you want to, maybe get in, like with, you'd say you play a Flame Channeler and then you give it haste right away so it can attack that same turn. Just a super rock solid 3-drop. And then finally at 5 mana, topping off our curve, we have Goldspan Dragon, 4 copies. Honestly, if you're playing a red deck, you kind of need a good reason to not include Goldspan Dragon. This card is just amazing. It's a 4/4 flying haste. Whenever it attacks or becomes the target of a spell, you create a treasure token, and then as long as it's on the field, treasures can be sacrificed for 2 mana instead of just 1. So it makes your treasures twice as effective. It creates a ton of treasures. It's a 4/4 flying haste. It just kind of does everything. And then last, as kind of a pseudo creature, we have 4 copies of Den of the Bugbear, the red creature land from Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. It enters tapped unless you have 2 or more. If you have 2 or more of the lands, it adds red, and you can pay 4 mana to turn it into a 3/2 red goblin creature that whenever it attacks, you create an additional 1/1 red goblin creature token that's tapped and attacking. So it basically just helps you, it's good against control decks, empty battlefields, etc. And then finally, we have a lot of burn spells. We have, in fact, 16 burn spells in the deck, so a little bit over a quarter of the deck, all to work with Bloodthirsty Adversary and Flame Channeler. We got 4 copies of Play with Fire. This is a strictly better shock. It deals 2 damage to any target, and if you target a player with it, you can scry 1. We have 4 copies of Spikefield Hazard, which deals 1 damage to any target, and exiles if you kill a permanent with it. And it can also be played as a tapped red mana land. So it gives you a little bit of versatility there. We also have 4 copies of Dragon's Fire. When you cast it, you can reveal a dragon card from your deck, or from your hand, or from on the field. It deals 3 damage to a creature or planeswalker, but if you reveal a dragon, it deals damage equal to that dragon's power. And the only dragon we have in the deck is Goldspan Dragon, so it can potentially hit for 4 if you have a Goldspan Dragon either on the field or in your hand. That's very relevant. 4 is kind of the magic number right now with mono green being so prevalent. It kills old growth troll. It kills Essica's Chariot, and all sorts of other things. So it's very, very good right now. Then we also have 4 copies of Thundering Rebuke. It is a 2-mana sorcery rather than an instant, unfortunately, but it deals 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker. So again, 4 kind of that magic number. So altogether we have Play with Fire, Spikefield Hazard, Dragon's Fire, and Thundering Rebuke. That is 16 pseudo burn spells. They can't all target a player. Dragon's Fire and Thundering Rebuke actually cannot, but they are 2 mana and they can clear the way for our creatures. And as for the mana base, we have 16 basic mountains and 4 Den of the Bugbear for 20, but then we also have 4 additional mana sources from Spikefield Hazard. So essentially 24 lands in this deck. And that is the deck. Let's go ahead and jump into some games. Okay, we are on the play with a pretty reasonable hand. I'm good with it. See what our opponent does here. So turn 1 Den. Unfortunately no 1-drops, but that's okay. And then here I think we go for Adversary since it has haste. Attack for 2. Okay, blue-red. Could be an Epiphany deck. And then we go Stormseeker. They might have Jawari Disruption. They do not. Okay. They do have Dragon's Fire. Okay, that's fine. Attack. Probably end up playing Spikefield Hazard as a land, I would assume. We haven't seen any creatures here yet. So attack with the Adversary. We will play the Berserker, because if we draw another land next turn, we can potentially boast it into a create a 5/5, and they can counter it. All right, that's fine. End of their turn, we'll hit him with a Play with Fire, unless they play a creature here, which they might. We'll see. These Dragon's Fires are not super helpful for us. Point that at their face. There we go. The land is not what we need right now. Okay. Now, interestingly enough, I actually need another land. So let's just attack. I suppose we should have probably drawn the land so we could get Den of the Bugbear. And actually, I should have probably played the Adversary there, just so he could get in for 4 instead of 2, because that would have put him on a essentially a 2-turn clock. So now we're hoping to draw land, so that we can either play essentially kicked Bloodthirsty Adversary, or activate our Den. That doesn't help much. I think we play the Adversary here. Yep. That's unsurprising. There we go. If this is an Epiphany, yep. So he gets to take an extra turn. We do have Dragon's Fire, if they have an additional one. Okay, they have a Nadar. That's fine. Let them scry one, and then we'll zap it with Dragon's Fire here at the end of their turn. Or we'll zap it now, before they have a chance to hit it with Angel Fire Ignition. Very good. Okay, so we did draw the land. So this is interesting. We could play Den. They do have this Angel Fire Ignition that will be a huge problem. I think what we do is attack. They block one, and then let's Thundering Rebuke the other one. And then we'll end the turn. So they need another creature to be able to do something with Angel Fire Ignition. And we do have Dragon's Fire here to help us. So as long as they don't play something very big, we should be okay. And we do still have Den of the Bugbear available. Okay, Shatter, that's fine. Okay, so we could play Flame Channeler here, or we could just get in for... I think we just get in for 3. Or 4, I guess, because of the Goblin. And there we go. Not too bad. Okay, we are on the draw. This hand seems fine. Shambling Ghast. That's a little annoying. It's actually a lot annoying. Because it can just kill our Pit Fighter when they inevitably sacrifice it. So I'm tempted to just hazard it. And in fact, I think that's what I'm going to do. Because then they also can't sacrifice it to like a Deadly Dispute. It exiles it, so it's gone for good, so they don't get the treasure. I think that just seems like a better idea than playing the Pit Fighter and letting it get killed. Alright, Eye Twitch is fine. Let's go Pit Fighter here. Next turn, Stormseeker. Okay, Kalane's annoying. I think we just attack with both. Alright. That's fine. I haven't seen any snowlands yet from our opponents, so they might not be playing Blood in the Snow, but they're probably playing Meathook Massacre as their sweeper. Okay, let's see. I think step one we attack. They block with the Eye Twitch. That's fine. See what they go get. Environmental Sciences? Okay. And then I think we zap the Kalane and play the Pit Fighter. And then if we draw land next turn, we can Goldspan Dragon. Ah, they have their old Goldspan Dragon. Okay. That's fine. We can Dragon's Fire their Goldspan, revealing our Goldspan. Or we could just play our Goldspan. If we do that, let's see, we get in for 3, 5, 9. And then we can Goldspan. Yeah, because we'll create a treasure. So then we can kill their Goldspan afterwards. Since our treasures are worth 2 mana. There we go. Next turn we can Den. They basically need a sweeper here, or they are dead. And they can only play Meathook Massacre for 3 right now. So it would kill our Stormseeker and our Pit Fighter, but not our Goldspan Dragon. Okay, they got Lulth. That's fine. Bloodthirsty Adversary. That's actually a pretty sweet draw. So pay 1. Get back Spikefield Hazard, I guess. And then it exiles the creature instead of killing it. And then we put the haste on you. And attack. Do we attack with everything? Let's see. They block the Goldspan. They take 3, 3. They take 8. So they would not die. So I think we send the Pit Fighter and the Adversary there. I think we attack like that. So we're sending 7 at their face. Wait a minute. I can't math. We actually just had lethal there. I'm dumb. Oops. Because they blocked the Goldspan. No, I'm not dumb. That's right. Yeah, they would not have gone to 0. Alright, Skullport Merchant. That doesn't scare me at all. Yeah, we win. Okay. Next turn, Bugbear. We had lethal. Because they couldn't block the Goldspan there. So, okay, on the draw again with another hand that looks reasonable. As long as we find another land, we should be okay. We got a little bit of burn spell. We got a little bit of other stuff. Seems good. I think we'll probably play Channeler instead of Adversary here. I suppose it depends on if they play a creature or not. They did not. So I think we're actually going to play the Adversary then, since it has haste. Lets us attack for 4. This could be Poison the Cup. There's not too many Foretell cards in black-red. Could also be... Could be a few different things. We're really not drawing lands right now, which is not great. Do I play my other Adversary, get in for 6? I think I do. Okay, they killed a Pit Fighter. That's fine. Next turn, if we draw a land, we can get them to 7. Although they're going to gain life off of that. Yo, where are my lands, though? Alright. So I think we do that, play both of these. We just need a land. Come on, game. Don't do this to me. There's 24 lands in this deck. Although we do need an untapped land, so it has to be a mountain. Can't be a den or a Spikefield Hazard in order for us to win next turn. They'll be at 10. Gelatinous Cube. Okay. That's fine. They gain a little life. Alright, we did draw the Spikefield Hazard. So it's an untapped land, but it is something. Dragons fire their cube. That'll get us our Pit Fighter back. And then we attack for 5. Looks like they've got... Yep, Demon Bolt. Okay, that's fine. So next turn we can finally play our Stormseeker. They have their own Bloodthirsty Adversary. Okay. They're going to get back Demon Bolt, I'm assuming? Yeah. Fine. Get Den. Play Stormseeker. Attack with everything. We get in for 4. And there's the Goldspan Dragon. At this point, we may be a little too far behind. It's hard to say. That doesn't really help us either. So let's go here. I want to do 1 on you and 1 on you, I guess. And do we attack with the Stinger? I think we do, because if they don't block it, that gets us in for 6. And an Infernal Grasp. Okay. So we'll get in for 1, and they've got a Goldspan Dragon. This is not looking good. Okay. And now they can learn for Spirit Summoning, I guess. Okay. Alright, we did draw a land, but that doesn't do much for us, because now they can block our den with their spirit. I think we're probably going to lose here simply because we needed to draw land for like the first... We needed one land at the beginning of this. And we just didn't draw one until too late, and by that point we were too far behind. Yeah, another den. I mean, this doesn't do much for us. Yeah. And now we just lose to Hive of the Eye Tyrant. Like, being unable to play our Stormseekers early really kind of put us in trouble there. But hey, you know, that's just the nature of the game. It happens. It always kind of feels bad, but they're going to put out your Den of the Bugbear as well. Like, okay, dude, you've literally got the win. I have no cards in hand. In fact, I don't... Can they actually win on this turn now? Yeah, because they get 4 from Den. So, you got me. Oh, well. Not too bad, though. I mean, honestly, that's kind of the deck in a nutshell. And I think I'm relatively happy with it overall. Mono Red really needs a little bit more. Now, with that said, Crimson Vow is going to be coming out in roughly a month or so, I think. I think it comes out in mid-November. And that's going to be sort of the vampire-focused Innistrad set. And red is one of the vampire colors. So I think we're probably going to see some really good stuff in red in the next set. At least that's the hope. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for today's video, guys. If you enjoyed the video, you know what to do. Links in the description below, so check that out as well as a full deck list. If you want to just copy-paste it into Arena, you can do so. Other than that, though, my friends, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.